It could be possible. And one of the teams that I'm actually going to be looking for to do that, and I know they're a little bit far behind, but it's RRQ Athena. We know that they got what it takes. We know that their skill is there. Are they going to be able to put up like 2 good performances at the start of the day? Because I believe they are 60 points behind first place. So they need to bring it, and they need to bring it fast.
I'm also looking at Top Esports. We talked about this team yesterday being that consistent placement team.
Yeah.
They're doing pretty well across the board. They haven't necessarily shone in a lot of situations, but you don't need to in a lot of these cases, especially if you're only looking to break into that top 5. You can just sit there. The question is, will that consistency be able to overtake the pure fragging power that XQuestF have to offer?
And I think it's not all about what teams can rise and pass XQuest. I think it's going to be if XQuest will actually fall, if they're going to make any mistakes. I think if they continue being consistent as they have with their aggression, with their kills, I don't think any team will catch up to them. They have to blunder if any team wants to catch up.
I mean, admittedly, their day 1, placement-wise, seemed a lot better than day 2, but they were still able to rack up a lot of kills during that second day. If that is a trend of a slow downfall, potentially that could be the way that they do fall.
Yeah, I mean, something that we haven't talked about this whole tournament is the fatigue and how many games this tournament actually has. Because we've been talking about mental fortitude, tilt, and stuff like that. But I feel like being focused on so many games, especially when it's 6 games per day, it can be taxing a little bit. Maybe teams are focusing way too much and they drain out, they make small mistakes.
Sure.
These experienced teams that have played a lot of tournaments, a lot of games, can come out on top on this championship Sunday.
We looked around like towards the end of yesterday or whatever. It seemed like a few people kind of were a bit drained, a little bit tired, knowing that there's a strenuous amount of effort that does go into all of these games when you're being hyper-focused about making sure that you're getting the right placement, the right attacks, the right kills when they need to happen, Seven. So that could definitely come into play. I think for teams like Top Esports, for example, in my mind, they've been pretty consistent throughout the entirety of the tournament. They're definitely a team that could challenge for that and kind of push through that kind of mental barrier of any kind of fortitude problems, etc.
Yeah, and towards, as you mentioned, they have been very consistent. Towards the end of the game, we always see them, whether it's in a huge play for them or whether it's against them, but they're always there, so that's good to see. And I'm pretty sure today they're going to be looking to get those extra kills as well and not play that safe because they are right there. They could go ahead and become first place and get the total prize pool.
And of course, let's take a look at our MVP voting system that's been going on so far, because we do have results from you guys that you can vote with the hashtag teamname_PMCO. Right now for team, what a surprise. Seoul is very high up. Not only were they high up before, but I think after the win at the end of yesterday, they got themselves a big boost as well to get things going. So Team Seoul, John, no surprises there for you?
Not at all. Best team in the world, even if they aren't able to come first. I still think that, the impact these guys have had on the PUBG Mobile scene is something that you cannot ignore. You cannot take it lightly because they just do so much for it because there's such great presences, especially in the strong Indian region.
I think this will be an amazing comeback story. I mean, they were at the bottom of the leaderboard. They ended up with the win at the end game yesterday.
Yeah.
If they managed to start really well today and just do a huge comeback, I think that would just be an amazing story.
That would be big.
And it wasn't just the win. The previous games, they were able to get consistent high placing, and then they popped off, which was, in a way, as you were saying, they're kind of like the global team everyone's supporting. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they go ahead and come out on the first game.
And yesterday, we did take a look at our MVP players as well, and there were a lot of RRQ Athena members there. Let's see as I conjure this up once again, as we do have, it's RRQ Athena once again here, with all 4 members being top and standing strong here up towards the MVP voting for the players. So you can vote with the hashtag #PlayerName_PMCO over on Twitter. Make sure to include @PUBG Mobile as well. That would be very useful, very helpful as we get things going. That is a lot of percent for G9. He is dominating the scoreboards when it comes to this.
Yeah, and I mean, we have seen his performance. I know overall as a team, they might not be able to be showcasing what they're able to, but individually, every now and then, they have their shining moments. First day, Ernie with the 9 kills in Miramar. So, yeah, it's gonna be exciting, man. I'm just hyped for this.
A lot of shining moments between you guys, but the only shining moment for me is John's jacket, I think. Like, that's the biggest shining moment. Where did you get this attire?
TK Maxx.
All right, okay. Anyway, moving on, Dacia all abound and ready to go here as we load up and drive along. And speaking of driving along, we're gonna be driving to Sandhawk here for our first game of the day. So gentlemen, talk to me about it. We've had 2 Sandhawks throughout the tournament so far. They've been fiery, because for me, when I watch Sandhawk here between all of these teams, there is that 19 through 21 minute mark where you lose about 40 people. It just gets crazy, Scoom.
Yeah, it's the first game of the day, and I see it as a warm-up. I think this is a warm-up to what the other maps are coming in. They need to get into fights, into aggression, so they can warm up their skills into the remaining, because there's not much macro play. We did see a little bit of PLM, and I think it was Brazilian Killers that were doing like boat rotations. I think that's the only rotations you would see of vehicles, is just boats.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's just land, it's just fights and just warming up.
This is the thing. In Sandhawk, you kind of you have the fifth circle, which I have affectionately named the Thanos circle, because half of the lobby just disappears pretty instantly. Sorry if you haven't watched the film, but
should have by now. Let's be honest.
Should have by now. If we're honest,
it's a great film.
One anyway. But yeah, no, it's so crazy. It's so hectic, and this is the sort of map where if you need to get a good start, you can really throw a spanner in the works of the teams that are doing that are towards the top of the leaderboards.
And this map actually might go ahead and help out some of the teams towards the lower leaderboard, because I believe it was Scars that won Sandhawk on day 1, and ever since then they haven't really won anything. So I'm looking forward to also being able to see what team, maybe from the bottom, BRK, one of those teams, also Space Station Gaming now replacing one of their players, Carnage, one of their fraggers, with Rolex. That should come into play as well. Will he be able to be ready in such a short time, especially on Championship Sunday?
And Rolex, of course, a well-known name, a household name when it comes to North American PUBG Mobile as well, Seven, so I'm sure he'll be able to fit the bill quite handily, to say the least. But I want to go back to that kind of moment where you really do lose half of the lobby on Sandhawk, because I want to ask you, Scoom, how do you avoid this? Are you playing edge? Are you looking for a central location? What do you think is the best way to try and avoid just losing out there? Because so many people do fall in those moments.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the circle at the end of the day and where you are positioned. You want to have the most central position and have hard cover. Like, there's so many forests and trees in Sandhawk that you kind of want to have these compounds if you can in Sandhawk. And then when the circle does shrink away, you have something to take cover from and actually third-party teams with. So I want to see teams like control those compounds more than just being in the middle of the forest and get surrounded.
And compounds in Sandhawk as well are actually quite different. When you compare it to maps like Vikendi, to maps like Miramar, they don't necessarily have that surrounding dead space because of the amount of trees, like you talked about, Scoom, and rocks and hard cover, that you can actually exit them very, very easily. So being able to hold them and being able to get out of them is much more viable on Sandhawk.
Yeah, and the thing at the end also, we gotta go ahead and look out for the snakes, right? Because there's just so much grass. Everybody's gonna be laying down. Everybody's gonna use some TPP to their advantage and trying to figure out, hey, where are they gonna be at? So it comes down to who makes the move first. We have seen players being able to make the move first. They get spotted and they die right away, especially towards the end of the game.
And we've seen Sandhawk present opportunities for some of the teams lower down the table to be able to propel themselves forwards a bit. Scars Black started off with a win on Sandhawk. However, since then, it's been, I'll just pull my collar away from myself a little bit there, because they've got themselves like 3 kills since then, which is a catastrophe for them overall. But they did get the win on Sandhawk, so it's an opportunity for some of those lower teams to push themselves up.
Yeah, I would love to see Scars Black be a bit more aggressive. We saw them a few times where they just stepped back in team fights and didn't actually fully commit. I feel like they need to be a bit more ballsy and actually go full on head, and just if you see a fight, just commit completely, especially in Sandhawk. You don't want to like take a fight and maybe step back, because a third party is going to come right behind you, so you need to be really fast.
And a team that I want to see that as well from, Team Unique. We saw them step up a little bit yesterday, particularly, I think the spotlight was on Old Boy, able to do so much work for his team, getting incredible numbers of frags, sitting up with the top fraggers in the tournament, and was able to allow Unique to have a very good day yesterday.
Yeah, Old Boy definitely having a huge game there for them when they got the win. Another thing I'm actually looking forward to, it's Nova. What are they going to be able to do? They were able to put such a good performance yesterday. They were able to go ahead and start hot. And as we're seeing Soul Team here, they actually told me yesterday they wanted to go ahead and be more aggressive. And they were in day 2, and it worked to their advantage. So are they going to go ahead and continue that aggressive gameplay with the tactics that they are